Hello everyone, here is Bhavana. In this video I am going to discuss the topic central nervous system. This topic is from the chapter neural control and coordination. Let's begin our session. Central nervous system constitutes brain and spinal cord. These two are included in the central nervous system because they are situated along the center of the body. Let's discuss about brain. Brain is a central information processing organ. It will process all the information of our body, and it acts as command and control system of our body, and it regulates the body temperature and voluntary movements, balance of the body, involuntary organs, circadian rhythms controlled by pineal gland. It will control our sleep-wake cycle and endocrine glands and whatnot. The total human behavior is controlled by the brain. It acts as a director of our body. In general, the director will direct the people, but the brain will direct the human body. We'll work under the direction of brain, and it is a site for processing of vision, hearing, speech, memory, intelligence, emotional thoughts. All these expressions and actions are processed at brain, and the brain is enclosed by the cranium. It is also known as skull. As it is enclosed by cranium, the brain is also known as encephalon. The synonym for brain is encephalon, and it is covered by three meninges known as cranial meninges. These cranial meninges are durameter, arachnoid meter, and pia-meter. Durameter is the outer layer, arachnoid meter is the middle one, and the pia-meter is inner one. And this pia-meter is in close proximity to the inner surface of the brain, and the arachnoid meter is the thin one. We can expect a question from this: which of the three meninges is thin? The answer goes for arachnoid meter, and the term arachnoid is given here because this meninge represents a spider web. Let's discuss about the classification of brain. This is the classification of brain, and it is summarized in this flowchart. The brain is divided into three parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. And the forebrain is again classified into three parts: cerebrum, thalamus, and hypothalamus. These three parts constitute forebrain, and the midbrain is the second part of the brain, and it has four lobes on its dorsal part. These swellings are corpora quadrigemina, and these corpora quadrigemina has two centers: visual cortex and auditory cortex. Visual cortex is concerned with vision, and auditory cortex is concerned with hearing. The next part is hindbrain, and this hindbrain is again divided into three parts: cerebellum, pons, and medulla. These three parts constitute hindbrain. Let's analyze this flowchart through the diagram. See, this is the diagram of brain. This is the forebrain: cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus. This entire part is cerebrum. This is thalamus, and this is hypothalamus. Cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus. These three constitute forebrain. Okay. And next, midbrain. This is the midbrain. This part is midbrain, and it is the ventral part. On the dorsal part, it has four swellings. It is known as corpora quadrigemina. And the hindbrain constitutes cerebellum, pons, and medulla. See, this is the cerebellum, this is pons, and this is medulla. These three, cerebellum, pons, and medulla, constitutes hindbrain. And medulla, after medulla, will get spinal cord. Medulla has connections with spinal cord. Let's discuss about all these parts of the brain in brief. The first part is forebrain. Again, forebrain is further divided into three parts: cerebrum, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Let's discuss one by one. The first subpart is cerebrum, and cerebrum forms the major part of the human brain. The majority of the entire brain, the volume, is occupied by the cerebrum. This is the important point. A deep cleft divides cerebrum longitudinally into two halves, that is, they are known as cerebral hemispheres. Imagine this as a cerebrum diagram, and this is the cleft or suture which is dividing cerebrum into two halves. They are known as cerebral hemispheres: right cerebral hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere. Corpus callosum. Two hemispheres are connected by tract of nerve fibers. These two hemispheres are connected by tract of nerve fibers. To understand this term tract, we need to know about some basic terminology. Listen. Then all of us know about the neuron structure. It has two parts: cell body and cell processes. Cell processes include dendrite and axon. The group of cell bodies in central nervous system is known as nuclei. Okay, group of cell bodies in central nervous system. Group of cell bodies, the same cell bodies in the peripheral nervous system, is known as ganglia. Clear with this 2 points. The group of cell bodies in CNS is known as nuclei, whereas in PNS it is known as ganglia. Group of axons in central nervous system is known as tracts. The same group of axon in peripheral nervous system is known as nerves. Here we are discussing about the term tract. Here the two hemispheres are connected by tract of nerve fibers. What do you mean by tract? Group of axons in CNS. In central nervous system, that is brain and spinal cord, group of axons. Here between two hemispheres there is a nervous connection of group of axons, that is corpus callosum. Cerebral cortex covers cerebral hemispheres and is thrown into prominent folds. Those are gyria and sulci. These two cerebral hemispheres are covered by cerebral cortex. Let's discuss this through the diagram. This is the these are cerebral hemispheres and it is covered by cerebral cortex. See, in any organ we have two parts. The outer part is cortex and the inner part is medulla. Even in kidney we come across the points, across the terms adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Adrenal cortex in general for any organ, cortex is the outer part and medulla is the inner part. Here also the cortex is the cerebral cortex is the outer part of the brain and cerebral medulla is the inner part of the brain. The cerebral cortex covers the cerebral hemispheres and is thrown into prominent folds. These are the folds and they are known as gyri and sulci. Okay. And the cerebral cortex, it is a major center for motor areas, sensory areas and association. So these three areas are present at the cerebral cortex, and association areas is important. These are concerned with intersensory association, memory and communication. These functions are important for association areas. Highlight this line in your Ncert. Cerebral cortex is referred as gray matter due to its grayish appearance because the neuron cell bodies are concentrated here. In cell bodies the myelin is absent, so the color will be gray and all the cell bodies are concentrated. The nuclei are present. What is nuclei? Group of cell bodies in CNS. So the nuclei are present here and it will give gray matter, whereas the medulla is white color because all the myelinate axons are concentrated and it will be white. Remember, in brain gray matter is towards periphery and white matter is towards center. In spinal cord the gray matter is towards center and white matter is towards periphery. This is the important point. The next part of the forebrain is thalamus. Cerebellum wraps around a structure called thalamus and it is the major coordinating center for sensory and motor signaling. The cerebrum, this is cerebrum and it is wrapping around a structure called thalamus. This is a thalamus and it is the coordinating center for motor and sensory signaling. Sensory impulses come from here and these are analyzed in the brain and motor impulses are transmitted through here. Sensory information and motor information, the coordination will take place at thalamus. This is the very important point. We can expect a question, and this the coordinating center is often confused between thalamus and midbrain. Students often confuse between which is the coordinating center in brain, either thalamus or midbrain. Simply remember the thalamus is situated below the cerebrum. If we locate the location of thalamus in the brain, it will be present below the cerebrum, and at this point we are having a pool like area. Here only the coordination center is present. Remember in this way. This is about thalamus. The next part of the forebrain is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is another important part of the forebrain. It contains number of centers which control body temperature, urge for eating and drinking. This is also very important. See, we can extract a lot of MCQs from these lines. It's very important to remember. Revise this very frequently. Increase your frequency of revision, then it will be easy. Okay, increase your frequency, wavelength will decrease. Wavelength of fear will decrease. Okay. So this hypothalamus is responsible for controlling temperature of the body and hunger and drinking, thirst, and it contains several group of neurosecretory cells which secrete hormones. They secrete hypothalamic hormones which will control the pituitary gland. That is why hypothalamus is known as master of master gland. Which is the master gland in the body? Obviously pituitary gland. The pituitary gland master is hypothalamus. Okay, it is also an endocrine gland. It will secrete hormones also, and it will control temperature, urge for eating and drinking. This is important. You can expect MCQ. The next part of the brain is midbrain, and this midbrain is located between thalamus of forebrain and pons of hindbrain. Let's analyze this through diagram. A canal called cerebral aqueduct passes through midbrain. See, This is the midbrain. It is present between thalamus of forebrain. Thalamus is situated at forebrain, and pons of hindbrain. Between thalamus of forebrain and pons of hindbrain, there is a structure known as midbrain, and through this midbrain a canal passes. This is the canal, cerebral aqueduct. A canal called cerebral aqueduct passes through midbrain, and on the dorsal side it has 4 round swellings or lobes. Those are known as corpora quadrigemina. The next last part of the brain is hindbrain. It includes pons, cerebellum and medulla. These are the 3 parts of the hindbrain. Pons consist of fiber tracts that interconnect different regions of the brain. I hope you are clear with the term tracts. In this is the region of pons. This is pons, and this pons region contains tracts of fibers, means a group of axons. These axons will interconnect different areas of the brain. Cerebellum has very convoluted surface in order to provide space for many more neurons. This is a cerebellum. See, in this diagram only we can look, it has much more convoluted surface because it has more surface area for many more neurons. Medulla contains center for control of respiration, cardiovascular reflexes and gastric secretions. This is the medulla. It is mainly concerned with involuntary actions of the body. It will control gastric secretions, respiration, cardiovascular reflexes, and it is connected to spinal cord. This is about hindbrain. We have completed 3 parts of the brain, that is forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. And before ending the session, let's discuss about 2 more terminology. One is limbic system and another is brainstem. The limbic system. The limbic system has 3 constituents. One is inner parts of cerebral hemisphere. In cerebral hemisphere, the inner parts and amygdala and hippocampus, these are the deep structures of the brain. These 3 structures constitute limbic system, and the function of limbic system is regulation of sexual behavior, emotional reactions like excitement, pleasure, rage, fear and motivation. The function of limbic system is to control all these. The question may arise like which will control the sexual behavior of a human being. Obviously the answer should go for limbic system, which will control the pleasure. See, every point is important here. I already said increase your frequency of revision. The next important structure is brainstem. The brainstem is 3 parts. It will include midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata. This is the midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata. This whole structure is known as brainstem. What is the function of brainstem? It will form connection between brain and spinal cord. See, this is the brainstem. It is forming connection between brain and this is spinal cord. See, an entire line. It is the entire row. It is forming connection between brain and spinal cord. And cerebellum is not included in the brainstem. It is very important. Students often confuse why cerebellum is not included. See, what is the function of brainstem? It should form connection, but cerebellum is not forming connection between brain and spinal cord, so it is not included. Remember this line: first midbrain, then pons, and then is medulla. These 3 form brainstem. This is about the central nervous system. I hope this video is informative for you. If you like this video, please share and subscribe. Subscribing takes only Now it's time for the questions. I have extracted these questions from lines of Ncert. Try to answer these questions on the spot itself. Don't look into Ncert or your notes. If you don't get the answer, reread the lines of Ncert and extract the answer. The first is, what forms the major part of the brain? Pause the video and try to answer. The second is function of association areas. Third is function of hypothalamus. Next is which canal passes through midbrain. The next is what are constituents of limbic system. Try to answer these, and after this session immediately read the topic from Ncert and try to make notes out of it. Short notes will definitely help you in revision series. Keep your max effort, utilize your time productively. At the end of the your journey, you should never regret that I have wasted that particular second. Utilize every second. Okay, this is about central nervous system. I hope this video is informative for you. If you like this video, please hit on like button, share to your friends and subscribe the channel. Subscribing takes only a couple of seconds, but it's more worthwhile for me that you can't imagine. Thanks for watching.